Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
I'm Indy Neidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.
Well, we always get bogged down in details, but I think that's what makes it good.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
It is. And we're picking up from where we left off last time, yes?
Yes, indeed. Today is the first Part 4 episode we've ever had. Sluggers of the 1940s, Part 4. These were unintentional, but they got longer and longer. Now, these episodes, for you out there, they do stand alone, so you don't have to stop now and go back and listen to the first 3 before this one. You can actually do it in any order.
You're going to have to go back to Sluggers of the 1930s again one day, since you gave them one episode and didn't tell nearly as many cool stories as we did for the 1940s.
That's a really good idea, and it does fit in with something I have planned anyhow. So okay, one day I'll do it. Not now. Our podcast was brand new when I did Sluggers of the 1930s, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we are 6 months old now as of September 30th.
Oh, wow. Time really flies. I actually was thinking about that on the way here. I was like, how long have we been going? I was like, 5, maybe 6 months. But 6 months.
6 months.
From the 30th. Okay.
And Sluggers in the 1930s was just episode 3, when our general format wasn't quite as worked out as it is now.
It was still a good one, and I like the sidetrack where you did the quotes from Bobby Lowe about his 4-homer game in 1894.
Yeah, and where he talked about, like, the food he ate.
Exactly.
I like that your dad, Burns' dad, is in South Africa, and he listens to this, and he said, part 3 of this, he said, was our best one so far.
Hell yeah.
I totally agree with that. Well, let's make this better, okay? Okay, so the sidetracks are fun, right?
Yeah, they are. So where are we going to start today?
Well, we are going to start with the last of the big 3 1940s sluggers that I have yet to cover in this miniseries. Stan Musial.
Finally. And the other 2 being Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio, I hope.
Right. We did them. So, interestingly enough, though, I will say, if this episode was home run hitters of the 1940s, I would not cover Musial because he hit but 146 of his 475 career homers in the 1940s.
I did not know that. What was his career years?
He started in 1941 and he retired in 1963, with 1 year away because of the war in 1945.
Just the one?
Yeah. He was not drafted, right?
Okay.
Maybe because of being a parent with a small child, or coming from an area with lots of eligible draftees or whatever. Although in January 1945, he enlisted in the Navy and he was away in 1945. But anyhow, he hit those 146 homers in the 40s. He hit 63 homers in the 60s from ages 39 to 42. So the other 250 or so homers he hit were all in the 1950s.
Okay. Then why are we not waiting to cover him in Sluggers of the 1950s one day instead?
Because a slugger is not necessarily a monster home run hitter. In 7 full seasons in the 1940s, Stan Musial led the National League in slugging 4 times.
Yeah, he counts as a slugger.
Yeah. He became a true home run hitter in 1948. He'd never topped 20 homers before in a season, but that year, his best year, he really swung for the fences.
And how was that year?
He won his 3rd batting title, and he would win 7 total. And he led the league, and in many cases the majors, in pretty much every major statistical category. 230 hits, 46 doubles, 18 triples, 131 RBI, 135 runs scored, 11.3 WAR, a 376 batting average, a 450 on-base percentage, a whopping 702 slugging percentage, for an even 200 OPS plus, and 429 total bases, which is still the 6th best single season all time.
Okay, I noticed one thing about all the stats that you just read. You did not mention home runs.
I did not. Stan the Man hit 39 homers that year, which was his career best. Okay. But he finished 2nd in the league to Johnny Mize and Ralph Kiner, who both hit 40.
Would have been nice for Musial to win a Triple Crown, you think?
Yeah, but, there is the story of the lost home run.
The lost home run?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me that now?
I sure am.
Yes.
Musial later said that he hit a home run in a game in 1948 that was rained out, so the homer didn't count. He said this to Bob Brogue in a memoir that Brogue, a legendary St. Louis sports writer, wrote in his own 1995 autobiography. And Musial also mentioned it in an oral history called The Spirit of St. Louis. Side note here. Brogue apparently came up with the nickname Stan the Man for Musial. Dodgers fans would mutter, "Here comes that man," when Musial came to bat in Brooklyn, and the name stuck. And the Baseball Hall of Fame officially credits Brogue with giving him the nickname.
That gives it some credibility.
Yes, it does. Well, the Lost Homer. A bunch of people have researched the Lost Homer, and no one has actually found it. In fact, David Vincent, who wrote the Sabre home run log of all Major League home runs hit going back to 1871, and who you would likely know best, said the Lost Homer never happened, at least not in 1948.
How about that?
And since the Lost Homer supposedly happened at the Polo Grounds, another researcher looked at all the local newspapers where any such action during a rainout would surely have been mentioned, and found none.
Wow.
And later, in November 1948, when Musial won the MVP for the third time. And there were loads of articles about his season all over the country, but there is not a single mention of any lost homer that cost him the Triple Crown. Now, Musial did hit a 450-foot out to dead center at the Polo Grounds August 4th, and that day the Cardinals, Musial was a career Cardinal.
I don't think you mentioned that yet.
Sorry, he was. That day, the Cardinals were playing a makeup game as part of a doubleheader, so maybe it was misremembered somehow. But it looks pretty clearly like there was no lost home run for Stan Musial in 1948.
Okay, I can live with that somehow.
Hey, here's a fun Stan Musial homer fact, though. In 1954, he hit 5 homers in a doubleheader, becoming the first player to ever hit 5 in a single day.
Has anybody else done that?
Nate Colbert did it with the Padres in 1972.
Do I know him?
You should. Colbert was a top-notch slugger for 5 seasons, starting his rookie season, which was also San Diego's first season as a major league team in 1969. He was their first star.
What happened to him?
After averaging 30 homers a year those first 5 years. And this is when, 32 or 33 could lead the American League. Chronic back problems derailed his career, and he retired at just 30.
That's a shame.
Hey, fun fact. A lot of fun facts today.
A lot of fun facts.
Okay.
We love them fun facts.
Nate Colbert hurt his knee in a home plate collision July 31st, 1972, and was not supposed to play the next day at all. But he did play in spite of the pain, and that doubleheader on August 1st is when he hit 5 homers and had a record-breaking 13 RBI. 13 RBI
That's
in one
insane.
day. Another fun fact, Nate Colbert was from St. Louis and was actually in the stands May 2nd, 1954, when Musial had his 5-homer.
Nah, that's an
doubleheader.
amazing coincidence.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
Okay, here's another side note, another fun fact, but this one is an Indy one.
Okay, let's hear it.
When I played my first season of T-ball in 1974, that's what you played before they pitched to you, right?
Yeah.
My first season of T-ball in 1974 in Houston, it was for a team called the Redbirds, which is, Cardinals.
Yeah.
And my first glove was a Stan Musial model.
Okay.
It was way too big for me since my mom didn't want to keep buying me gloves every couple years when I got older, got bigger. So that was the glove I had from then on and all through high school.
And how did the Redbirds do in 1974?
I remember it well. Well, most people remember things well from when they were little kids.
Course.
I was like, I would have been still 6, almost 7.
Yeah.
My elementary school, Rummel Creek, had 5 teams. The Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, Sluggers, and Redbirds. And the next elementary school over, Bendwood, had the Broncos, the Reds, the Bandits, and the Cougars. So we had a sort of a crossover league with them where we'd play each of our teams from our school twice and each of theirs once, right?
Okay, like a division kind of thing.
We played more games in our own division, I guess you could say.
Okay.
We, the Redbirds, finished last in the Rummel Creek standings, but we did win our last 2 games. And I remember this still specifically, 28-10 and 30-9 over the Sluggers and the Cougars. I should point out to you that you were allowed to score a maximum of 7 runs in an inning. And they were 5-inning games, so 35 max. So 30 runs was pretty darn good.
And how did you do?
How did I do? We got certificates at the end of the year which had our batting averages on them.
Oh, wow.
And I hit an even 500. But this was not especially close to being best on the team. We were 6 years old. We were not good fielders.
That makes sense. Even with your adult-sized Stan Musial glove.
Even with that. Hey, remember I said in part 2 that from Joe DiMaggio's first game in which he hit 500, he never had a career average at all at any point in his career for any game below 314.
Yeah, I recall.
Okay, well, Musial came up in September 1941, and in 12 games, he hit 426.
That's a hell of a stat.
Musial also went 500 in his first game, like DiMaggio. He was 2 for 4. He got hits in at-bats number 2 and 3, so it was an out in his first at-bat.
Okay.
And at no point, the rest of that season, was his average below 375. And then, at no point for the rest of his career, was his career batting average ever below 328, which it was at the end of his first full season when he hit 315.
Okay, that's a lot of numbers to digest, but he basically outdid DiMaggio from day one in consistency then.
Yeah.
What did he finish with?
I will tell you after this. Stan Musial hit 331 for his career, and that includes 4 sub-300 seasons at the end of it. His peak career average was after the 1946 season when he was at 350, though he was still above 340 as late as 1958.
Okay, what were Williams and DiMaggio's career averages at their highest point then?
Williams maxed out at 356 after his 400 season in 1941, but was still at 350 for his career after 1957.
Okay.
DiMaggio's top was 345 also after 1941.
Did Williams never have his average dip below like 300 or whatever from game 1 of his rookie year?
Williams did hit 327 his rookie year, but after his first 20 games, he was hitting just 235. So no, he's not.
Okay, so wait, if Musial wasn't hitting a lot of homers until the end of the 40s, but was leading the league in slugging even at the beginning, then what was he hitting?
Well, for starters, he was hitting an awful lot of doubles. He led the league in doubles 8 times in his career, which is tied with all-time doubles leader Tris Speaker for the most ever. Musial topped 50 doubles in a season 3 times.
How many did he have career?
He had 725, which when he retired was second all-time behind Speaker and one ahead of Ty Cobb. Now, Pete Rose has since passed Musial, though it took 3,000 more plate appearances to do it. In addition to the doubles, though, Stan the Man hit a lot of triples.
Really? In the 1940s?
Yeah.
He's just racking them up.
Just
That's
racking up
crazy.
Triples. 8 times in his first 10 full seasons. He topped 10 triples in a season. He reached 20 twice. He led the league 5 times, which is the second most times anyone ever has led the league in triples.
Yeah.
And he finished with 177, which is the most triples of anyone who began his career in 1930 or later, and the second most since 1920 after Paul Wainer. Musial led the National League in slugging 6 times overall.
Okay, how about homers, though? Everybody wants to know about homers,
Sure.
right?
Well, Stan the Man, with his 475 career homers, never finished higher than second in a season.
Okay.
But I should point out that when he started swinging for the fences from 1948 onwards, his triples production declined as his homer production rose.
Makes sense.
Musial himself later said that he probably lost 10 to 15 points off his career batting average because of swinging for the fences from 1948 on.
He didn't do that badly anyway.
He did not. In fact, remember I said that Ted Williams had a major league triple crown for his career, like leading the majors in overall homers, RBI, and batting average for his whole career.
Which is still one of the craziest stats ever. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's so crazy to me.
Well,
but yes, I remember.
Stan Musial was in second place in all of those categories for during that same time period. So he had a second place triple crown.
That's pretty good, though.
Behind Ted Williams?
Ted Williams, like, so just to interrupt, like, so he was a Cardinals guy. He was basically
he was a career Cardinal. Williams was a career Red Sox.
And Williams was, so those guys are basically the best players to basically ever play for those 2 franchises, probably.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could argue that Rogers Hornsby was a better hitter for the Cardinals when he had that 5-year run when he averaged over 400, but he wasn't a career Cardinal. No. And well, he did play second base. So that's you could make the argument, and some people would argue for Albert Pujols as well. But you cannot argue that anyone was a better hitter for the Red Sox than Ted Williams.
No, or for the Cardinals and Stan Musial.
For the career Cardinal, he's Mr. Cardinal. He's
That's insane. Okay.
But speaking of his second place Triple Crown career finish, Musial was good at second place finishes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he won 3 Most Valuable Player awards in 43, 46, and 48, right?
Okay.
And then after 1948, he finished second in the National League MVP race in 1949, 1950, 1951.
That would have sucked if he'd never finished first.
He also finished second in 1957 when he won his last batting title, hitting .351 at the age of 36.
That's pretty awesome, though.
While Ted Williams, who was 38, was busy finishing second in the AL MVP race that year and hitting .388 to win his 5th batting title.
Good year for the old guys. I mean, I'm 36 now, right? So
Yeah.
I could not.
You're just a kid. So, yeah, maybe you can win a batting title and finish second at the MVP next year. And it was a great year for the old guys, and neither of them were that far in the MVP voting behind the actual winners, who were Hank Aaron and Mickey Mantle. Williams, I read somewhere, when he hit that .388, he did it, he slower because he was older, without a single infield hit all season, which is just crazy.
Okay.
Musial actually had a run of 10 consecutive seasons where he was in the top 10 in the MVP voting, starting with his third MVP win in 1948. Willie Mays actually did the same.
And where was Musial from, though?
He was from Pennsylvania, like 30 miles south of Pittsburgh, a town called Donora. He played high school ball with a guy named Buddy Griffey.
Griffey?
Father of Ken Griffey and grandfather of Ken Griffey Jr.
Wow, go Donora.
If I were to ask you, Burns, who was the best left-handed outfielder from Donora, Pennsylvania, born on November 21st, who appeared in exactly 22 Major League seasons, what would you say?
I'd say that's an extremely specific question.
And yet, it applies to 2 Hall of Famers, Stan Musial and Ken Griffey Jr. Same birthday, same handedness, same position.
No, you're kidding me. What?
Appeared in the same number of seasons.
That can't be real.
It's true.
That can't be real.
It's absolutely true. Here's another nutty Musial stat. Musial had 3,630 hits in his career, which is 4th all time. He had exactly half of them at home and half on the road.
Really? This is a freak. So 50-50 basically. He was as good at home as away.
He had 18-15 at home and 18-15 on the road.
That is a nutty stat.
There is more to say about Stanislav Musial. He was a pitcher at first.
Really? I didn't know that.
In 1940, Musial was playing with Daytona Beach in Class D ball. This club was managed by a guy named Dickie Kerr. Now, Kerr had been one of the clean Black Sox, which I guess you could call just White Sox, in 1919 as a rookie, and he won 2 games in the tainted World Series.
Pretty impressive if your team's trying to lose.
Then, in 1920, before the scandal broke, he went 21-9 as part of one of the only 2 pitching staffs ever that had 4 20-game winners in one season.
Yeah, that's also pretty impressive. What was the other one?
The 1971 Orioles, who had Jim Palmer, Dave McNally, Mike Cuellar, and Pat Dobson.
So I've heard of all those guys except for Dobson.
Well, Palmer and Cuellar were Cy Young winners, of course, and McNally finished second once and in the top 5 3 other times. Dobson only won 20 games that one year and had a career losing record. But back to Dickie Kerr. Kerr and his wife Cora looked after young Musial, which he really needed after a single game changed his whole career.
Okay.
He pitched very well in Daytona, right? He was one of the best arms in the league, going 18-5. But since the team only carried 14 players, he played outfield on off days, as did the other pitchers. And he hit very well, too. .311 with loads of powerful line drives.
What's the single game that changed his life, then?
On August the 11th, playing center field, he did a somersault catch of a low line drive. Now, this is something he often did. Stan Musial had gymnastics training as a kid.
Okay.
So this sort of somersault catch and come up running, with the ball was like a standard move of his, right?
That's crazy.
But this time, his spikes caught in the grass and he went down wrong, landing on his shoulder. So he ended the 1940 season with a new wife, a child on the way, and a dead arm. His pitching career was over just like that.
That's pretty terrible.
Kerr and wife looked after the Musials, him and his wife. And from what I read as a kid in Strange But True baseball stories, the Musials even lived with the Kerrs at some point. And Kerr helped Stan develop into the superstar hitter he was meant to be. In 1941, he tore up the minors, hitting .379 with 26 homers and 94 RBIs in just 89 games. Then, of course, he was brought up to the Cardinals in September.
But why did the Cardinals wait until September? If he was that good, were they a contending team at the time?
They very much were. They were a great team who finished 2.5 games behind Brooklyn after a tight pennant race. They were so stacked that all 8 starting position players and 3 starting pitchers all got MVP votes, with 4 players finishing in the top 10.
Oh, wow. I retract my statement. I guess they didn't need him after all.
But they kind of did.
Okay.
Hall of Fame Cardinal outfielder Enos Slaughter broke his shoulder in an outfield collision with Terry Moore and was out for part of the season. And here's what Hall of Fame Cardinal first baseman Johnny Mize, who we talked about in part 1, had to say about the situation. Here we're fighting the Dodgers for a pennant. Branch Rickey said we didn't have anybody in the minor leagues to help us. Then in September he brings up Musial. Why didn't he bring up Musial earlier? That's what all the players wanted to know. We might have gone ahead and won the pennant. I'll tell you what the talk used to be about Rickey. Stay in the pennant race until the last week of the season and then get beat. I heard some talk to the effect that that was what he preferred. That way, he drew the crowds all year, and then later on, the players couldn't come in and ask for the big raise for winning the pennant and maybe the World Series. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the talk. That's the quote.
If that's true, that's a pretty damn cynical attitude to have. I hate that, actually.
Well, if it's true, then Branch Rickey did a pretty bad job of it because the Cardinals won 4 of the next 5 pennants and 3 World Series.
That's a dynasty.
From 1942 to 44... so starting the next year. The Cardinals had a nearly 700 winning percentage, and they won over 100 games each year. Only the second major league team ever to do that after the 29 to 31 A's. So Stan Musial made the World Series in all of his first 4 full seasons. He never reached the postseason after that.
Really?
Yeah, the Cardinals finished second a bunch of times, including 1 game behind Brooklyn in 1949. But that was it for Musial's October heroics.
Was he an October hero?
Not really. He wasn't bad, but he was nothing special, not like in the regular year. But I think I've said all I want to say just now about Stan the Man Musial.
You've said a lot.
I want to get to the other thing I think I absolutely must cover today because I've talked about it for the past couple of episodes. A few other super close batting races.
Finally.
Which I will do after this. In part 2 of this 1940s Sluggers miniseries, I talked about the super close AL 1945 and 1949 batting races, the closest ever. But there are a few others that were almost as close. There was the 2003 National League race where Albert Pujols hit 358.71 to edge Todd Helton 358.49. That's the closest National League race, 22 10,000th of a point, right?
That's insane.
The 1931 national race is perhaps more interesting than that, though, since it was a 3-way race. Chick Hafey hit 348.88, Memphis Bill Terry hit 348.60, and Sonny Jim Bottomley came in at third, 348.16.
So basically, 1 hit each way for any of them would have given someone else the title.
Yeah. The 1970 American League batting race was also a really tight one. Alex Johnson hit 328.99 to beat Carl Yastrzemski's 328.62. Yaz. This would have been Yaz's 4th title had he won. But he never finished higher than 9th in the batting race after that year.
What's his name? Alex Johnson.
Alex Johnson. Well, to give you an idea, this is how his Sabre bio, written by Mark Armour, begins. In an era when baseball players, collectively and individually, began to clash with management as never before, it is likely that no one clashed more than Alex Johnson. Though he was blessed with much coveted talent, teams that employed him tired of him fairly quickly. The winner of a batting title, his emotional disability was at the center of one of the landmark cases in the early days of the Players' Union.
That does not sound good.
He, like Musial 20 years earlier, he burned up the minors, and he reached the major leagues quick at the age of 21. This was thanks to his hitting, because already then he was known for his struggles on defense. He hit well for the Phillies, but was traded to the Cardinals. From what I read, Phillies manager Gene Mauch did not like his attitude. With the Cardinals, he started 1966 so badly, though, that he was sent to the minors, which, again, he burned up. And it was similar in 1967, though he stayed with the Cards all year, but he hit very poorly. Dick Sisler, the batting coach...
Son of George Sisler?
Yep, son of George Sisler. Dick Sisler had this to say. He easily could have been a great Cardinal player, but he showed no interest, even at clubhouse meetings. He doesn't seem to want to improve. He has tremendous speed, but he's not a good base runner. We tried everything to bring out his potential. I was disappointed in not being able to get through to him. The Cardinals sent Johnson to the Reds, and here is another quote. You're going to laugh at this one, okay? Johnson was happy for the change, saying of the Cardinals, "We disagreed on the way I should hit. When asked how the team wanted him to change, Johnson admitted, "Well, you'll have to ask them. I didn't pay any attention to what they told me."
I mean, that's a healthy attitude. I mean, that should...
You think that's a healthy attitude?
That should make you popular in the clubhouse.
Yeah, like they want me to change. How? I don't know.
What did they tell you? Couldn't tell you. I was something else.
You'll have to ask them.
You'll have to ask.
So it's bad that they wanted you to change, but you have no idea how. Having said that, he was a good natural hitter. And with the Reds, he hit .312, which was fourth in the league, and he won Comeback Player of the Year. And then he followed that up with .315 in 1969, added some power, hitting 17 homers, and he also used bats as heavy as 43 ounces.
That's just a club.
That is a club. The Reds, in 1969, were on the cusp of their own dynasty, the big red machine of the 1970s. The front office was hesitant to let Johnson and his bat go, but they really did have all the hitting they could use with Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Lee May, and all that. So they dealt him to the Angels as part of a deal for 3 pitchers. So then Alex Johnson won the batting title for the Angels in 1970, but there were issues.
Not surprised, but like what?
Well, unlike Ted Williams in 1941, who played a full doubleheader the final day of the season and risked missing 400, Johnson got 2 hits in the final game, which put him ahead of Yaz, and then was removed from the game. And this caused a stir, so he wouldn't like strike out or something and lose the title. And this caused a stir, especially in Boston, where Yaz played.
Yeah, I can see why.
But that wasn't just it. Johnson was fined several times that year for indifferent play. And it was not uncommon for him to yell obscenities at the press and even teammates when they tried to talk to him. The Angels in 1969 finished dead last, and they were above 500 in 1970, but one teammate said Johnson wouldn't be good for them even if he was hitting 400, and it got even worse in 1971.
How does that get worse?
By the end of June, he had been fined 29 times and benched 5 others. He sat alone on the bench in the dugout between innings. A couple times he let fly balls drop that he could have gotten. He didn't run out ground balls when he hit ground balls. He absolutely wrecked the club's morale.
You have to ask why. Like why are you like this, dude?
I don't know. From what you read, away from the field, he was a super nice guy. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he was fun to hang out with, but that's away from the field. He was suspended indefinitely June 25th. It's fairly obvious he had the sort of emotional issues that would be treated today, but this was 1971.
Yeah, of course.
The Players Association sued baseball to overturn the suspension, but no dice. And then 2 shrinks finally examined him and agreed that because of emotional issues, he couldn't give his best efforts. And it was a really big stink. You can Google, or anybody out there, you can Google the Alex Johnson case for all the details, but it was really messy. And it made big headlines.
Okay, what happened then?
Well, he obviously wasn't going to continue playing with the Angels. They traded him to the Indians, for whom he had a good first half and a bad second half. From there, he went to the Rangers in 1973. Now, remember, this was the year the designated hitter began. So that's great. So that's mainly what he did that year. Rebounding to hit .287, solid .287.
Pretty decent, yeah.
He started 1974 playing more outfield, though, and was hitting .291, but manager Billy Martin sent him to the Yankees in September and specifically said it was because Martin demands that all his players run out ground balls. And Johnson wouldn't do that. And Martin, so they got rid of him because of that. Then, he's with the Yankees in 1975, and Billy Martin is hired by the Yankees midseason as their manager,
okay.
So Johnson got put on waivers. And after a mediocre 1976 with the Tigers, that was it for Alex Johnson, who played with 8 teams in 13 seasons, never more than 2 for any one team. Dick Allen, the Hall of Famer Dick Allen, would write this about Johnson in his autobiography. Why don't you hear his name today? I'll tell you why, because he called everyone dickhead. To Alex Johnson, baseball was a whole world of dickheads. Teammates, managers, general managers, owners. Alex would say, "How you doing, dickhead?" Just like that. The front office types
What a legend.
would take it personally. But then again, maybe Alex hit a nerve.
Shame you couldn't get some help. Might have been a different story, but that's so funny to me, dude. I'm so sorry. That's so funny to me.
How you doing, dickhead? And it's Dick Allen's going to say, he called everybody dickhead.
That's so funny to me.
So,
to put that in an autobiography is the craziest thing.
I love Dick Allen.
That's so good.
So, I wonder
That's so blunt. That's so. He's like, why wasn't he a good guy? Well, first of all, he called everybody a dickhead. Yeah, that's fantastic. 10 out of 10. I actually like Alex Johnson. I actually like Alex Johnson.
This is a little homage to Alex Johnson and his emotional issues. He died, I think, 13 years ago, so he can't hear this.
Yeah.
But okay, well, that's the Alex Johnson story, you know.
Any more close races to cover?
Close batting races?
Yeah.
Well, there are close races, like the 1976 and 2003 American League races were close, and that 1976 race was a three-way one.
Yeah.
But they weren't as close as the ones that I have mentioned today and 2 weeks ago.
So what now?
So now we are finished for the day.
So today was just Slugger of the 1940 and not Sluggers.
Yeah. Well, Stan Musial's a pretty big one.
I mean, are there Sluggers of the 1940s you've not covered?
In these 4 episodes, there
Yes.
there are definitely some lesser lights. There's Nick Etten,
Okay.
Charlie Keller, Rudy York, Whitey Karowski, maybe Pat Seary.
Are we going to cover them?
Well, I was not planning on doing a part 5 because I do have other stuff I
of
want to
course.
talk about
Yeah, of course.
other than Sluggers in the 1940s. But I'll tell you what. I guess if people out there wanted me to do part 5 of Sluggers in the 1940s, I could do it. Or maybe they want me to move on. Who knows?
Okay, hang on. I have an idea. How about this? Why don't the listeners out there maybe get a hold of us on Instagram and Facebook and let us know if you want another Sluggers of the 1940s episode, or if you'd like us to move along after flogging this horse for the past 2 months.
That is a great idea. Do that. Get hold of us on Instagram, get hold of us on Facebook, and do 2 things more, right? Write to your local newspaper's sports department and tell them how awesome we are so we can get written up by them, or even better, picked up by them and paid millions of dollars for doing this.
Billions even.
Billions. And join us on Patreon. Just look up Indy Neidell's Baseball History Time Machine at patreon.com and know that any money you pledge to us there is going to a good cause, making up for all the time that it takes to plan, organize, and research and record these episodes. Now, I know a lot of this is off the cuff, but of course things with like quotes and specific numbers of super close batting races, I've done a lot of research ahead of time to add that sort of stuff and to make it pop.
And pop it does.
And so, I shall take us home. It is goodbye from me, Indy Neidell,
And me, Burns.
and the Baseball History Time Machine.